And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Instagram. It's Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday, Revenue Party people. Who do we have here in the comments? Let us know. Keep us honest throughout this entire conversation because, of course, this is for you. And I am trying a new angle. I'm sitting back, trying to let Layla actually drive today. Thank you, Layla, for all your help. But let's get right into it. So, we've got two incredible guests. This is going to be a really great conversation about sales. We're going to be talking about storytelling. We're going to be talking about selling. We're going to be talking about making money and raising our vibrations and podcasting and, maybe a little live streaming. But let's get into it. So, before we do, I just want to make sure and pause and tell you a little bit about Layla. Well, Layla has helped me so much, and Layla is with Cherry Assistant. Cherry Assistant is a virtual assistant service that helps me not only with this live stream, but our clients' live streams. And then they not only do that, but they also are executive assistants. They help enter data. There's all sorts of things you can have a virtual assistant do and delegate some of your tasks to someone else so you can focus on what you do best. So definitely scan that QR code if you're watching. Otherwise, just go to cherryassistant.com, talk to Cherry Assistant, let them know that you heard about them through us. And we would love to just help empower you to start delegating some of your work. And also high level. So I talk about it here on Wednesday every week, but we're in high level every day here at Reveting. And we love it so much, we white labeled it. So we have app.reveting.com. And anyone who signs up for our coaching program, our live streaming services, they get access to app.reveting.com. And what that is it's a full service CRM and marketing automation platform that will really help you enhance the way that you are working with your leads and how your marketing team is able to build landing pages so that it all flows in one seamless solution. So many times businesses have you'll have your MailChimp over here and you'll have your Zoho over there and you'll have your this over here, and then they're all like not talking to each other and everything's siloed. Well, high level will put it all together for you, and they're doing what some of the big SaaS players are doing at a fraction of the cost. So I'm obsessed, would love to help you get signed up. If you're watching on pod or listening on podcast, or I guess watching, because podcast is video now too, then go to reveting.com/high level. Or if you're watching, you can scan that QR code. But I want to get into these hot topics because we've got some hot guests. So I want to welcome to the show. We've got Michelle Peacock and we've got Rita Richa. Welcome. Thank you for being
Yay! Woo woo!
these
Yeah.
vibes, ladies. I mean, we've got flowers, we've got sparkles. This is going to be a great episode. Audience, we want to hear from you. Like, keep us honest. First of all, audience, tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us what industry you're in so we can make this relevant for you. And I'm going to pass this over to the guests so they can tell us their full life story from birth to what brought us to now. And also, like, what might either of you like to hear from the audience? Let's start with you, Michelle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. So excited. So, I have 25 years in electrical distribution. That is my day job, kind of my masculine energy that I mastered scaling billion-dollar companies through pricing strategy. And then really pivoting out of corporate was, I don't feel so lit up inside by that anymore. So, I really was able to pivot. I use human design. I teach human design, which is the gifts kind of the universe gave you when you were born. And through that framework, I was able to really understand my superpowers and my gifts and pivot, which we're going to talk about a bit today, to my Vibe Conscious Marketplace, which was truly aligned with me, my superpowers. And honestly, it was stuff I was doing anyways for free. I just had to figure out how to monetize it because I learned that when you monetize your joy, you can't not be successful. So that is really kind of my masculine background of corporate turned joy job. I'm a mother of three beautiful boys. And there's just so much joy in connecting people and elevating and amplifying others that I'm just really excited to be here and talk about that today. And I guess I didn't even fill out the 2 minutes. I have like done these improv classes and gotten this down to a very quick intro, if that works for you guys. Oh, maybe not. Yes. Okay.
I mean, you're a seller, so we have to give it to you. You've got your like 30-second pitch down. Way to go, queen.
Way to go.
That's what I
Mm-hmm.
like to see. I mean, we just put the 2-minute cap on mostly for
Yeah.
the like verbose marketers. You
Love.
usually don't have to worry about the sellers because they know how to
Yeah.
shut their mouth. And speaking of that, I'm going to shut my mouth because we want to hear from you, Rita Richa, and tell us where are you tuning in from? But most importantly, where were you born and what brought you to now in 2 minutes?
Okay, so as the podcaster, the timer is helpful. I will say that. My name is Rita Risha. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a proud Lebanese American. I was born here, first generation immigrants. We're a family of entrepreneurs, believe it or not, and I just found my way into the digital world. I wasn't always planning on being an entrepreneur. I'm a podcast executive podcast producer and in the B2B vertical with B2B podcasting as like a strategy for helping brands, either agencies or tech platforms, grow their reach and tell their story in interesting, engaging ways. I was a former theater kid at first, really into the arts and music. And I decided, after some time, I wasn't going to be Ariel on Broadway. So I started my own podcast called Bippity Boppity Business, which is a Disney business podcast. And it won an award last year for Best Business Advice. And that show I started a few years ago, and it inspired me to start my own business, Reignite Media, where I work with large brands all over the world to bring their stories to life and make content that's interesting, educational, and hopefully a little fun. So that's my story. That's where we're at. And when I'm not doing that, I do offer coaching where I work with founders one-on-one and startups to help them on their podcasting journey. So no matter who you are and what business story you have to tell, just consider me your B2B podcast fairy godmother, and I will help you make your business dreams for your content come true.
I love that. That's so good. And we've got another seller here, apparently, like coming in under 2 minutes. Way to go, Rita Risha.
Thank
Risha.
you.
Did I say that
Risha. It's like a sha, like very jazz handsy, you just need to go sha at the end
I
of
feel
it.
bad I didn't ask you
Love
that pre-show. I asked Michelle, but then I know we weren't talking
It's
as much
okay.
because of the pre-show
Blame my
technical
family. They didn't
difficulties.
know how to register an SH sound when they got here, so they just figured it out. It's an inside joke ever since.
Love it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. Well, I'm so happy to have you here. I love what you're doing with podcasting. And, I'm a former theater nerd too. So, I mean, there might be something there. Let's just, we'll move on from that because, we might get a little
We
too
might
like,
get too nerdy about that. Yeah, maybe
yeah,
you guys can come on my show and we can get nerdy about that on mine.
yeah, you're super theater nerdy.
Love it.
But today we're talking about attraction-based sales, which, sometimes we can use our theater skills to in selling, I would argue. But you can educate, inspire, and earn trust. But I would love to hear your perspective on attraction-based sales, Michelle.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I kind of had to come up with this term because as I was kind of going out on my entrepreneur side, and I was like, well, I just want people to like see me and love me and then hire me. And I was like, why do I have to have a funnel and a this and a marketing? Like, I believe in it, but it wasn't my superpower. And so I was like, well, how do I just attract the right people for me? How do I have the vibrational match? Right. And as I was kind of learning all this and I was digesting it, I'm like, well, I just want to like show my energy and have people attracted to what I'm selling. But I don't actually want to sell anything. I just want to share my superpowers, right? And so as I started like messily going through my mind of like, well, I want to do this, but I don't want to do a podcast because I want it to be live. But so I was like going through all these renditions in my mind, and I finally came up with like ABC. Let's just keep it simple, right? And when I really boiled that down, it was like attraction-based commerce. Oh, okay, so maybe we can have a podcast, but maybe it could be live. Again, I'm like reinventing the wheel while I'm doing this. And my concept was really just do a Zoom link, do a live, get in front of people, share your superpowers in something that lights you up inside, right? If you ask me to talk about something that does not light me up inside, my energy is going to fall flat. no one's going to buy it. No one's going to want to hire me for what I have to sell. Right. And when I say sell, I mean, they need to fall in love with you to be like, I don't even know what she does, but I want to work with her. Right. And again, some of this, I love Rita's like bibbity bobbity. It does feel a little magical. Right. And so as about that, it was like, you know what? I just want to give people a stage. Let's share your superpowers, what lights you up inside. And then it's in my vibe, we talk about give and get, the heart of reciprocity. And so for that, it really boils down to my give is this session, sharing my energy, sharing my superpowers, sharing whatever topic we're talking about. But then on the flip side, it's asking for what we need. And so to the audience that showed up, it was, do I need to be on a podcast, right? That could be your ask. Is it, I want you to buy my book, right? If you have a book. Or, hey, I'm looking for B2B clients in this space, right? And so it's really just knowing and asking for what we need, but in a very give get way. And so as I was really trying to describe that, I'm like, I'm attracting an audience that wants to hear my message. And in return, I'm asking for what I need. And that has led to referral based, leads. It's led to like, oh my gosh, I mean, I can't hire you right now, but my friend needs you. I want to introduce you. So it leads to introductions. It leads to being on a podcast. It just leads to so many amazing things that then the energy starts to flow and you connect with people that see your value. And in human design, I'm something called a projector. For those of you who don't know human design. And my success strategy is a little bit of wait for invitation, which is like really messed up because I'm like, well, how am I supposed to sell myself if like I'm supposed to wait for people to invite me in? And so it was just really me unpacking a lot of things that didn't make sense. And then boiling it down to, you know what, I'm just going to change the rule book. We're going to do live podcasting ish. We're going to call them events. We're going to ask for what we need. We're going to share our superpowers. And at the end of the day, I've had people that like 4 people have showed up to an event and 3 signed up, right? For whatever that coach was offering. I'm like, well, we didn't have the volume, but my gosh, the conversion rate was on fire. And so that's kind of where I started launching that ABC Commerce and ABC attraction-based sales, because you have to learn in the law of abundance, you have to learn to receive, right? But you can't receive if you don't ask for what you need. So I hope that was like enough to give you a little juicy details behind the scenes, but it was really kind of like taking my mess and making it a message, because I truly do believe in podcasting. And Rita will probably cover this, so I won't cover it, but like attracting other people's audiences. I call it OPA. Like if you can get in front of other people's audiences, even for people that do similar things, your vibe will attract your tribe. You will attract the people that want what you have to sell and also believe that you can help them. So I feel like when you put all of that together, it feels a little bibbity bobbity, but that is how I've had a lot of success hosting events and co-hosting things in my vibe. So thank you.
Not bippity boppity. I love it so much. And I'm the same way. And I love that you brought in the importance of reciprocity, but also just the feminine and masculine energy in selling and attraction based. And at the end of the day, the feminine energy is a receiving energy. So women naturally have, some of that. But I mean, we all have both masculine and feminine energy. But
Absolutely.
I use the same thing, and I try to use my feminine energy in selling to help people tap into their own pain. Like I'm not trying to lead them to their pain. I'm just trying to ask questions, but also I don't want to shield them from their pain, because if I do, then they're going to realize like they don't need me. They don't need our sales. But I really like your whole approach on it and calling it attraction based. I see you nodding, and she was talking about podcasting. Rita, what's your take on all of this?
I mean, it's so true. I think my thing is, yes, like, what Disney inspired me in my show is that something about the brand, whether you love them or hate them, they've been around for over 100 years. And what they've done is they've taken stories that speak directly to that consumer, their pain, their hopes, their joys, their wishes. And they've been able to turn that into a brand and that connects. And storytelling is how we as humans, since, Jesus's time or whatever, a long time ago, have shared and connected with each other. That's how we make sense of the world around us. So if we're able to package our hopes, our dreams, our business goals and desires in a way that not only makes sense for who we are, but for our clients, we're building relationship. And that's the core of any sales relationship here, is how do we build a relationship that is transformational and not transactional. And storytelling is really what does that for our audiences.
Yes, exactly. Not transactional. Making it about them, closing our mouth.
Yes, they are the hero. And in
Yes.
B2B, we make that a problem. We talk about like, look at my shiny new thing, or
Yes,
look
feature,
at my
feature.
yeah, feature, where instead it's like, okay, well, who made the thing? Why did they make the thing? Did they
Right.
make it to help you? Like, so the mistake that people make is they're like, well, if I create a founder driven brand for myself through my podcast, like, it's not about, I don't want to make it about me. Well, who are they going to connect to? It's either a person or a mascot. Okay. Duolingo does this really well. There's a bird that is a persona. There needs to be a persona, a story for me to connect to you. And if it's your dingle mabobber or your gadget a gizmo plenty, like, I'm not going to connect with that thingy unless Scully is your mascot. Then maybe I will.
I was gonna say, are we singing Little Mermaid now?
We
Listen,
are.
I
It's a whole
can't
nother-
help it.
20. But oh
Love
well,
Yes, exactly.
that's okay. I give up.
I want more. I
I
want
wanna
more
be-
than just. I want to be where
Well,
the B2B besties are.
Where the B2B besties are.
Yes, we could do a whole parody
Million
on it. I love
people.
it. I love it. But what you
I
were
love
saying,
that.
Michelle, we could literally talk about this for 8 hours. But what you were saying, Michelle, is so true about the attraction part. Because if you are not confident in yourself, if you do not have the right alignment and the right energy for yourself, if you do not know who you are, period, you're gonna tell a really whack story. Your story is not going to relate in the way that you want to. Because if you don't know who you are and what you want to do, you won't know who your target audience is, or what they're like. For me, it was like a few pillar things about me that I kind of like, use to relate to other people. I like business. I like theme parks. I like Disney. You could do this for anything. Maybe you like business and sports. Okay. I mean, when you go to a networking event, what are you going to talk about other than your thing? Like, be a human, be a whole human, and have something to go off of, And I think podcasting really helps you do that. I think it makes you think about like what you're going to actually say and when you talk to people.
100%. Yeah, it humanizes the brand. And
and when you're authentic, it's in flow, right? And people can feel when it's not in flow and you're like rehearsed. And that's again that attraction. And I also think you make a really good point, Rita, that like if people don't like theme parks and bibbidi bobbidi, maybe they're just not your people. And that is okay. And I think that that's what we take so personally in the sales funnel process of attraction-based sales is like magnets are polarized. They have like a magnet that attracts and one that repels. And like, maybe it's great that you push away the repel people because they're not your people. They're not going to get you. They're going to waste your time and then leave being like, that girl was weird. What is she bibbidi boppiting? It's like, well, then don't come waste my time because it's like, just protect your energy for those that are aligned with your message and your vibe and are like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I just want to work with you now. Right.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Bippity boppity. Let's go to topic 2. Okay.
Like
story driven sales, podcasting that converts. I mean, we've already kind of been talking about it. I love the use of bippity boppity. I usually say woo woo, but bippity boppity, I might embrace that. It's,
so
kick us off. Storytelling, story driven sales.
Okay, so there came a point in the podcasting space for me where businesses ask the $1 million question. What's the ROI for me to start a podcast? What is this actually going to do for me? How will I know if a listener will convert into X amount of dollars? And in the beginning, and it still stands true now, the truth is you can't really prove who's going to turn into one listener turning into like one audience member. So I really had to think about what is the strategic approach that we're going to do in order to actually create a narrative that not only shares that founder story that we were talking about earlier, but also that converts. And I came up with this formula called story-driven sales. And there's 3 points to this formula. The best podcast has these 3 things. The first thing is in the formula, you need to add these things together. So number one, proprietary thought leadership. That's company backed data. That's case studies. That's white papers, all that stuff that's boring, that's been under the rug. Bring it out. Let's reignite it. Let's bring life into it. Number two, relationships over transactions. That's the real human conversations. That's going out into the world and online and bringing those conversations together. It's that hybrid approach of I'm not only going to sit in my house and I'm not only going to go outside, I'm going to try to bring those two worlds together. And number three, founder branding where the users are the hero. You're basically weaving in stories that are emotional, but also real life, actionable things that somebody could listen to and actually connect to. So again, proprietary thought leadership, relationships over transaction, and founder branding where users are the hero. Those three formulaic pieces together that funnel into a CRM system where you are taking track and documenting these conversations and, sending a gift afterwards that is something after a conversation that you've had that is brought up in that conversation. There's so many things we could get into that, but those three components are what really create a business podcast. For example, let's say you have a case study that is really great. There's a bunch of data statistics in there. Ain't nobody read it since the day it was out there. It's probably collecting dust. Well, instead of just posting that, why not have a conversation with people using those statistics as data points? So let's do something funny. Let's say 75% of people are obsessed with cats. That's my mundane statistic. Okay. You discovered that in your
Love
cat
cats.
business. Yes. 75% of people love cats, whatever. That's your proprietary data. You did the research, you found it. In your podcast, you're going to weave that narrative based on this like research that you've done and, kind of prove or disprove your theory. What I'm trying to say is a podcast, just to have a podcast, will not convert to sales. You need to hyper niche and you need to combine it with your own thought leadership and points that are actually going to turn into conversations later. And so, it's a work in process, but I feel like just kind of what we were tying into earlier, when you have a story to tell and it's memorable and it's actually interesting, it's good. For example, there's a show that I'm working on right now where we get two lawyers to argue with each other about nonsensical topics, okay? Like pineapples on pizza should be illegal or whatever, right? But it's a marketing agency for lawyers. So they get lawyers to come network with each other and everyone has a great experience. And this is all done virtually. They have a great time. But then what they're doing is they're actually having to argue the opposite of what they believe in. So they show how great of a lawyer they actually are when they're arguing on the show. So if I think pineapples on pizza should be illegal, I now have to fight and debate that. So you have to find ways to really bring gamify almost your show or really lean into some sort of story or theme overall. Like for me, it was Bippity Boppity Business. Take a hobby you like plus business. That's your podcast. You know what I mean? So, that's basically the foundation of story driven sales. And I would love to talk to you guys more about it.
I love that. That's such a great analogy that you shared there. What's your take on all of that there, Michelle? I see you nodding.
So two things really stood out. One is making it human and making it fun, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, no offense, but like no one wants to sit and hear a lawyer talk about lawyer stuff, but they
Right.
want to know that, well, that is the lawyer for me. They are my vibe. I like how they argued. I like how they thought on their feet. Or you're like, ooh, they struggled a bit in the area that's important to me. I think just like humanizing people's skill set and seeing if you vibe, that was one thing that I think is just so, it's like that vibe again, right? It's that energy of like driving and attracting people. But I also love that you brought in the hero aspect in your formula, because I do think that you made a really great point earlier. Like if you're in business, B2B, you have something to sell. But if
Mhm.
you're not selling something that fixes a problem they have, or they can't connect the dots themselves, then you're just wasting airspace and everyone's written you off, right? So it's like they need to like you, And then they need to know that you can fix the problem that they have. And that makes them the hero. Because what I learned in consulting, what I really love is I want to come in, make you look good by fixing your problems with my 25 years and scaling and pricing and supply chain. But then truthfully, I would like to leave and let you take it from there. And that makes them the hero. And I learned in consulting for me on the B2B side, that was my sweet spot. Because if you come in and there is an ego clash or they're threatened by your authority, they're going to almost gaslight you in that role, which I have a lot of experience with, unfortunately. But if you come in as a consultant, you make them the hero. That really resonated with me because if you can just put that lens on more of the things that you do, I think that that builds that human connection. So the human piece, the hero, human to hero. That was my summary. I really loved those two connection points. I thought that was really, really well done. And so align with attraction and vibe and just that human connection we're all looking for. Well done.
100%. And I'm with you as well, Rita. Like, so Reveting, we help people or help businesses create podcasts, but we do it by recording on live streaming. Like, as you know, we've talked about that before. And that all started when I was an in-house marketer, and it was at like a consumer data exchange platform, which is, not the sexiest topic. And I was trying to make it sexy and I was really struggling. But there were really interesting things we were doing, and there were really like modern ways we were helping other businesses. So once I figured out even just getting the founder on Zoom and recording him and being able to make short form video clips at that point, that was how we started. Not only did I start to learn how to market the brand as the marketer, the in-house marketer, and I was really learning the founder story as well behind it. Like, why did you create this? Like, where did the idea come from? Who was involved? Like, who was the villain? And when you tried, I want to know the full story, and all the elements of the story. And it really does help you as an in-house marketer understand your brand. Like she was talking about going through case studies. Absolutely. If you can sit there and you can recite that case study, next time you go and write some copy, your brain is going to be so fresh. Like, absolutely. You should go through all the old marketing content, talk through it, put it on podcast, put it on short form video. If it's not you as the marketer, find the face of the brand. Maybe it's the founder. Go take them that case study, have them read it and pick out what their favorite point is, and just hold up the phone and record them and get it out there and humanize the brand. Cause that's the thing that AI can't do for us now, right? Is they can't have human conversation. And I can't say it enough, but that's why live streaming, having a real-time conversation, even podcasting, having a conversation, deep fakes can't have conversations yet. So welcome to the future, everyone. This is marketing. And if you go over to any other platform like TikTok, they're literally it's like QVC over there. They're holding up products and they're selling things, which by the way, this is a TikTok dress. And if you go over to my TikTok, you can buy it and I get commission. And I would really appreciate that. Same with this chair is a TikTok chair. I got it as a free sample. And if you buy it, I get commission. So, I'm just saying that is what people are doing is they're selling via live stream on these other channels and via video clips. So wake up to live streaming, not just on LinkedIn and YouTube, but also podcasting, because people live in Spotify now too. What do you find, Rita, in terms of podcasting? Because there's so many podcasting platforms. So, we set up RSS feeds and it helps with a lot of that, but
yes,
still it's so siloed and hard to know how many views am I getting total, and the download data isn't the best. Can you just talk to us a little bit about that? Because if anyone's getting ready to start a podcast, they should be aware of what the analytics are really like.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you asked that question because there are a lot of stigmas and misinformation about what a successful podcast really looks like as it relates to downloads and everything. I actually just read a report for 2025 on podcasting, and I'll spare you the whole report. I'll break it down in a couple of minutes on things that are working right now in podcasting overall. And what they found is basically the smaller shows are actually the shows that aren't like the Joe Rogans that have like a $20,000 a month budget are actually growing faster. And there were some key metrics that are indicators like whether or not your show is doing well. And some of those high growth shows, very interestingly enough, on YouTube, they had just under 345 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, I believe
but
it.
but they were very targeted, like they were
Yes.
engaged. They only had they had like 610 people in their email list. They had under 1,000 followers on Instagram, but their consistency was what made their show successful. And it used to be that, hey, every week you need to put out a podcast episode or else your show won't grow. We actually have found in this report that the shows that are still growing put out episodes every 14 days and are still doing well. So it's more quantity and strategy with the quality. First, like maybe 5 years ago, it was the Gary V, like, let's just put a bunch of stuff out without any rhyme or reason and just like put stuff out, right? So now consumers are really looking for depth and something interesting in the content. So the three types of podcasts that are growing really well right now are the ones like narrative podcasts are popping off and doing exceptionally well. Roundtable podcasts just like this are doing really well. Podcasts that combine business and film or business and history together are doing exceptionally well. What's out is the solo podcasts, or just like where I just hop on and talk about whatever by myself. Or I'm just talking to one person about literally anything, like a Zoom call 1-to-1. So those are the shows that are doing exceptionally well right now. And if you're looking to understand, well, if I look at my downloads, like what does that really need to be? Well, on average, the downloads that we're seeing are, if you get anywhere from like, when you start a show, most people that are like, okay, usually will get around 400 downloads in that year. But what we found is after the 90th episode, if they were consistent, it's crazy, 90 episodes in
Yeah,
this
I feel
report.
you. Mhm.
That's when the real growth started and
Totally.
they started hitting the charts and going somewhere. We used to say, oh, past episode 7, most people don't get past episode 7. Okay, they don't. But most people don't get to 90. So what are you going to give up on? It takes 10 years to build a business. You're going to give up on your content within a year. Like, so that's the interesting statistics that we've been seeing. But more importantly, it's not about the downloads. It's about the connections, like we were talking about earlier, the relationships. When you go to a conference, does somebody walk up to you and go, hey, I heard your show. It's really good. Are you getting DMs on LinkedIn saying, hey, oh my gosh, like I came across your podcast. It was awesome. Are you getting reviews from people you've never heard of or seen before on your platforms? So I would say, like, let's kind of shy away and detract our view, or really not detract, like not focus on the vanity metrics of how many people are listening. And let's look at those real world like indicators, like I just said, to see like if your show is actually doing anything. Because at the end of the day, if you're not having conversations with the people that you want to either know or do business with, like what are we doing,
Oh my gosh, I feel that so much because like this live, for example, I think we've had, I don't know, maybe 5 people total who've stopped in on YouTube, maybe like at this point 15 on LinkedIn. It's noon on a Wednesday. We get a lot more activity when we go live in the evening, but that just didn't fit my lifestyle right now, but we will go back to that. But like same with my clients who are past that, we're even at like past 150 episode mark.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, like you're selling not only to the audience, but the people who are coming on the show. I know that's not like an ideal thing, but they come on thinking you have this credibility, you build a relationship with them. And it's just like for our clients, you get leads in CRM from the attendees, from the guests, from people who come in through your DMs, like you were saying. And, then you have other people out there running Google ads, wondering why they're not getting leads. Well, it's because you're not humanizing your brand. But I digress because we need to move into intermission, and we have a quick video to play from Cherry Assistant. So I'm going to ask Layla with Cherry Assistant if she could play that video for us, and we will be right back to talk about some more activities, and we'll be hearing from Michelle when we come back right after this message.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now, he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
And if you're listening on podcast right now on screen, we're showing some of the services Cherry Assistant provides, and that's lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, sales presentation preparation. We've got data entry and cleanup, customer support, and project management assistance. So just use that QR code, or if you are watching this or listening to this on podcast and it's just in your earbuds, just type on your phone cherryassistant.com. Check out their website, fill out the form, and maybe it's time for you to get a VA. So you should explore that. Let them know that you heard about them through us here at Wednesday, Revenings Wednesday. But I digress. It's time to get into topic 3. So if we could pull that topic up, joy jobs. I love this. And I love all the energy you bring to your topics, especially the whole like attract your vibe thing, Michelle, because here I am showing up in probably what's a sexier than normal dress on LinkedIn. And I do this every week. I'm a little bit unique. I'm not stuffy and like in my suit. And, you know, I attract my tribe and I just try to be myself. And when I can be myself, I find people who want to work with me. And when I'm not myself, then I don't. But joy jobs, I love this energy because now it's about bringing joy to your work and monetizing without burnout. And that is so important and even like personal to me, even this week. So can you kick us off on this topic?
Yes, absolutely. So it was interesting because the whole concept of it came out when, funny enough, I was on podcasts and I was talking about my vibe and B2B consulting. And it was getting a little messy. And I was like, I have my day job, which is B2B supply chain consulting, but then I have my joy job, which is my vibe. And it was like, when I started talking about it like that, people could put me in a bucket of like, oh, she does this and she's a mom. Oh, she does this by day, this by night. It's like all of a sudden people could understand that it's not like I just have 2 jobs. It's that I was able to align my joy with something that I wanted to do anyways. It's almost like I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid. I used to call myself a professional friend because I was making connections and amplifying and talking about other people and my, all my other communities and what they were doing. And I loved it. So I was doing it anyway, And then it was like that balance of like, well, but if it brings me so much joy, the truth was I don't want to stop doing it. But in transition, I was like, but how do I monetize it? And the funny thing is out of all of that became a course that I taught and I give away for free called Don't Quit Your Day Job, Find Your Joy Job. And what I really wanted to push to people is that you kind of need in this day and age, you need more than one stream of income. I'm just going to say it, right?
Yes. Amen.
Be equal. It means you have to have a backup plan with 40% inflation and supply chain issues and all the, ecosystem that we're living in. How do you feel joy and not live in fear? I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to watch the news and be like, oh my gosh, I better start stockpiling water, right? Like, I don't want to live in that vibration, truly. And so as I was really leaning into that and saying, maybe you do need your day job for insurance and bills, but maybe if you have this like thing on the side that lights you up inside and then you monetize it, you realize you can actually do both because one fuels the other. Instead of coming home burnt out, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get home and jump on my podcast, or I got to get home and bake some cookies for the bake sale. Whatever it is that lights you up inside with joy. Like for me, I love hosting events. I love networking and meeting people and amplifying what they do, right? And it was like, I love doing that. I was doing it anyways. And now I built a way to monetize it. And so when I think through, like someone used to say, oh, this is my side hustle. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, how the hell do you have time for 2 jobs? Like, you're another executive. You were running a multi-million-dollar company. And then when I really kind of boiled it down, I was like, well, but it lights you up. You love doing it. So you make time for things that you love, that bring you joy. And then it was just kind of this aha moment of like, huh, but if I kind of lean into that and I do it, then my day job doesn't become so mm, sticky or icky, or just like I don't let my whole life revolve around that. I have something else that fills me up. For some people, their family lights them up and they can come home and their kids. But let's be honest, for those moms out there, that can also be a little draining. And so it was really just that, like, maybe I do wear a lot of hats, but one of the things I do is going to drive my energy. It's going to fill my cup with joy. And you guys know when you're doing something you love, you get in flow, you lose track of time. You're like, oh my gosh, how did I just spend 3 hours doing that? Right? Whatever that thing is for you, it could be, oh my gosh, I love taking hikes, but I love bringing people with me. There's a theme for me. I like doing things with people. But it's like I told someone, I'm like, then start a hiking club. And she grew it to like 200 members of like, yeah, I
Wow.
where I'm going to hike, and they show up. And now, like, we talk about, like, there's a whole community around what that person loves. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, if I have 200 people showing up to these hikes, I can monetize that. I can charge whether it's $10 a month or a community or just access to like where you're hiking that week. It's like people just want things to be easy and they want to show up with somebody that might lead the way. And I feel like that's kind of that piece of joy is like when it lights you up inside, you want to do it. You're driven to do something. If you start dreading showing up to your joy job, then guess what? It's not your joy job because
Right.
it shouldn't be something that you feel like drained about. And so then there's like different layers I teach in my class. It's like, what's your free item, your low ticket, your mid ticket, your high ticket, your VIP. And slowly, as I call it in my vibe, like play till it pays, right? I had this amazing member in my vibe, and she built this amazing workshop and was like, yeah, well, I'm going to launch this workshop in like August. And I was like, okay, great. But why don't we like talk about it now and build some community, and let's talk about what the workshop is going to be. And through those events that we hosted, she was like, oh my gosh, my workshop is irrelevant. I found now what people want, right? Like people want this, people don't want that. And so my point on that story is don't build a workshop that nobody wants to buy, or that's going to take time to market and build a wait list. And then you have to have Google ads. And like, to me, that's really, really draining. But I'm not a marketer. So like that, I'm like, but I built the workshop that took 3 months to build. And now I instantly think I'm going to monetize it. I think that's like the wrong way, the wrong approach to sometimes building something is play till it pays. And I promise you, it'll look very different than what you thought you were going to build at the beginning. But that's part of connection. That's part of community. And that's part of figuring that all out together is like, oh my gosh, well, now I have a new audience I didn't even know resonated with this topic. And to me, that's building momentum. That's attracting people through the energy of joy. And if you can't tell, like I get super passionate about it. And it's funny because someone else was like, you light up when you talk about my vibe. I'm like, of
You
course
really
I
do.
like I'm just so passionate about what I'm doing and how much I love it. But you notice I'm like, oh yeah, and I do pricing consulting for billion-dollar companies in the pricing space. But here's what I do, right? Like people feel that. Like, yes, I'm really good at scaling billion-dollar companies through pricing strategy. Check. I'm really, really good at that. But it does not light me up inside the way I really do tap into my superpowers. And the last piece of it is that human design is really what helped me identify those, because I used to think in my superpowers, oh, I just love helping people. I just love to help.
Yes.
And then when I learned human design, I was like, actually, no, I don't love to help people. You want to know what my gifts are? Bringing people together in community. And I have a guilt motivation, which means I can't see a problem that I know I can fix and I feel guilty not helping them. Right. So it wasn't that I just love to help people. Oh, look at my halo. I love to help. It was deeper than that. Like, no, I genuinely want to bring people together and help solve their problems. But it wasn't until I learned through human design that those were my life path channels and my gifts that I finally had new words to articulate why it lights me up inside and why it brings me joy. So that you can tell I can't stop talking. I get on a roll. I'm filled with joy.
I love it.
Talk about it.
Yeah, no, this is so good. Thank you for sharing that. And I wish more people could step into that vibration of looking for their joy job because there's just so many zombies out there in all
Yeah.
these like corporations who are just plugging away, wishing they were doing something else.
Yeah, and
And
I just like to say you don't have to quit your day job to find your joy job. I think that's the sometimes where I was like, oh, well, when I quit corporate, I'll figure this out. I'm like, actually, until you have a year's savings in the bank to live on while you build this, be careful.
Yeah.
Model is a
Yeah,
little
I did a
dated.
side hustle for about a year before and I never really left my employer. They're still a client. I'm a fractional CMO now.
There you go.
Yep.
I relate to that. I think it's important too sometimes to realize that sometimes the joy job that you thought was your joy job can change too with time. I think there can be a lot of guilt that comes with like something that you thought you wanted to do and you started it and you grew this thing and you're like, this is what I want to do. The truth is, like, I had 2 podcasts before I started the podcast that I have that took off. It doesn't happen the first time around. And sometimes you realize through your own journey that like you don't have to do something because you used to like it, like, or you can change and you can adapt. And finding community, Michelle, like you were talking about earlier, is so integral with that. I mean, I think that's kind of I think that's one of like the most important parts about everything that we're talking about here is that community gets created as a result in some way. When you find people that you can share and that you can relate with, you can find your joy job. You can come up and meet and network with people that align with you. And especially if you're a founder and you're in your startup phase and you're working alone, it can be hard to get through the burnout. It can be hard to even know what you're even feeling. So having people as a sounding board is so important. For me, I recently joined a community called Entreprenista, and it's these really awesome women that are in all walks of life and business that have businesses. And I started it in that community, joined it in a time where I kind of like said to the universe, like, there's a type of client that I'm working with right now, like that I don't really want to be working with. And then in 1 month, all of them left. And then I was like, oh, okay, universe, that was fast. Wasn't expecting it to be that quick, but
Yeah, like, thank you.
like, thank you.
But clear.
But I joined a community instead of just sitting there and going, well, back to the drawing board. You know, I went and I talked to other people. And I think what you're building is beautiful, Michelle. And I think that's needed. And especially with how many places there are to go. There are so many podcasts. There are so many videos. There are so many resources. That in it of itself is overwhelming. So hopefully we're all creating something where there is a clear place that people can go to and talk to someone in order to feel like they're getting their problem solved or they're just getting heard.
They're just getting heard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that too. Like, I'm an entrepreneurista as well. And it was a beautiful way of like, part of why I created My Vibe is like, how did I not know all these communities are out there existed, right? Like, you hear about it through word of mouth. And so there's like a wing, and I call My Vibe like the Costco of connection, community, and commerce. Because I'm like, no, come in, find what community is next for you. Maybe it's Entreprenista, maybe it's Chief, maybe it's Bold, maybe it's Outlier, maybe I have 77 communities in My Vibe because I think people need them. But I also think what you made a really good point earlier, Rita, was people might, I'll call it level up, right? And when you level up, there's a period of time where the people around you might disappear, right? The clients disappear. The universe is like, yep, you're ready for a new group. It does not mean that you like everything is a reason or a season. It doesn't mean anything bad about the community you just left, but I do think we outgrow communities along the way. Just because our time is our most precious asset. It's the only thing we all have exactly the same amount of. So where we spend it is important. And when you've kind of outgrown a community, I call it the community ick, which just means when I go to log in, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to log in there today. It's time to move on, right? And no shade on the community. You've just outgrown it. And so I love what you said about community and finding them and finding Entreprenista and finding other places. Like, that's a reason that I built My Vibe as well, is like, I didn't know all these places existed as resources. And I think it's so beautiful that you tied that all together. And everybody should be on each other's podcast. That's how we grow our audience.
Yes.
So like, that is how you do it, ladies, like, and men,
Exactly.
you know, our allies. Yeah.
I love the asterisk and men, but mostly ladies. But this is a very fun, girly conversation. I'm here for it. But here's the truth.
True.
You know, there are so many, like, there's a lot more B2B female founders now. And I feel like what you said is needed and what you're doing is needed, because where the hell do we go? Where do we go.
Also, I will go ahead and plug the Women Wave community. And I know
Yeah.
Michelle's in there. Rita, we got to get you in there. It's just a free WhatsApp group. We've
Yep.
got B2B women, founders, sellers, marketers. If anyone's interested, you can join. It's mostly women on LinkedIn, which is why there's the B2B thing. And I was always in SaaS, so I kind of attracted SaaS people. And it kind of stemmed out of another SaaS WhatsApp group where they were talking about cold email, and the women were just like, we need a place where we can just like talk. So
Yeah.
it's just grown out of that for a couple years now. But and
Yeah.
like some days it'll have a lot of activity, some days it won't. But it's always like a good place to just have. It's just always good to have a place. You know
It's
what
a
I mean?
safe
And
space.
also like it's good to be in communities to meet more people. It's become a really great place. I don't want to say to sell because you shouldn't like just sell in a community, but
Yeah.
to meet people so you can ultimately sell. But I digress because we only have 5 minutes left. I want to make sure we touch on B2B podcasting pop-ups in the wild.
Okay, so this is amazing. Recently we partnered, Reignite Media partnered with Be the Stage to do a pop-up podcast with Lenovo, a large tech brand. They also have services and like IT consulting and stuff like that. So very B2B, right? We came together and said like, hey, like they're doing events. They're spending a lot of money on events, and they reached out to Be the Stage, and they're like, "We're doing a lot of events, but we're not really sure if they're doing anything for us. Like, people are coming into the booth, but like, what can we do different?" So Pablo from Be the Stage and I, we put our heads together, and he was like, "Hey, like, would you like to be the host of this podcast that we do for them at the podcast booth? We'll make a booth for it instead of just having a booth where there's like the logo and a couple people, handing out a pen or two. Like, why don't we turn it into an engagement, an activation where we take a case study that they have created, make I had the idea to like make little cue question cards, like a deck of cards, pull a fun fact from, fun fact statistic from the deck, and we ask thought leaders that are there, or the ideal clients that they want to be doing business with, their thoughts on this case study. And we turned those conversations overnight in 24 hours. We were able to get a video clip for each one of the participants, and in 1.5 days I did 25 interviews. So that is a huge value add for the brand, because now they have a whole year's worth of biweekly content. They also have LinkedIn engagement. We were doing LinkedIn engagement right then and there. I was having them, post a picture of us at the podcast booth, tag us. People were walking by and like taking pictures and posting it on their LinkedIn because they're like, wow, this is a pretty, formal event. Who's this chick talking to these people over
Yeah, they
here?
look important.
Yeah, like what's going on, like the event itself. Here's the thing, the conferences themselves don't have a lot of media presence, period. They don't really know what to post. They don't understand the trending, like, video reels and stuff like that. So if you can find a way to create a win-win for both the client and the conference, it's going to get shared. And we created a whole bubble, a talking bubble around this thing that was a sales enablement tool for their salespeople. So the salesperson would take the picture, they would send a message, say, hey, thank you so much for coming by our booth. And we created a funnel of natural conversation, for the people that were attending the booth. We had at least, and every hour, there was at least 1 to 2 people in that booth consistently that were engaged and excited to be in that booth and stay in the booth. So it's a hybrid strategy between the online and an event marketing that I'm very passionate about. And I really feel like it's true to me, because as a Disney girly, I'm like, what's the immersive experience that we can share with our clients that creates
Yeah.
that real moment? And I feel
Love it.
like that event strategy is the immersive experience that
That's
any
it.
brand can do, regardless of what you sell.
Yes, totally. I'm the same way. I'm always trying to find that experience. People, they don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. So
Yes,
if you
yeah.
can create an experience for them and make them feel a certain way, they're going to remember that. And you are doing that so well with these podcast pop-ups. And it's funny you say how like people are like, "Oh, who are you?" Like these like important people, because like we help other businesses like go live on LinkedIn. And so I was
Yeah.
just telling people yesterday, like, okay, one of our clients, you know, we bring on like high caliber people for them, like
Yes.
CEOs of like Fortune 500 companies and stuff. They will have like a PR team of like 50 people. It'll be like me, PR team. Like, okay, we're not going on CNN. We're just going live on LinkedIn. Like,
Yes.
it's totally cool. I know.
Yeah.
It's like, but like, yes, it's like a huge deal. And people are like, what is this? This is like big. And it's like, yeah, it
Well,
is
I mean,
big.
Well,
Go ahead.
collaboration is the future, right? People want to see like a booth plus a podcast. That's new, right? A booth plus an ice cream station. Whoa, now you have my attention. Like
Oh, yeah.
collaboration with other companies doing completely different things. People are like, whoa, how do these two work together? I truly believe collaboration is the future.
It really
Yeah.
is. And when you can like have a weekly show where you're showing up collaborating every week and meeting new people like you both already do, so you already know the power of it, then it's just so magical. But I know we've already talked about Disney and it's 1:00. And I want to make sure that both of you get the chance to tell us about your guru of the week. Who is it that walks the walk and talks the talk that you think everyone should go follow? We'll put them up on screen here. And then also, if you could let the audience know how they could reach you after the show, if they would like to reach out, and also tell them a little bit more about your business exactly and what you do so they can decide like, maybe I can work with them or they can help me. So who do you help? How do you help them? And how can they reach out if they need to? But also, Guru of the Week. Layla, that's your cue. Boom, I'll pull myself out.
All
Oh my gosh,
right. So,
two amazing people. Yay.
wow.
Love
I need to check these gurus out. I have not heard of these wonderful women. I'm sure they're exceptional. I'm going to be writing this down in my little notepad that I've been keeping on through this whole meeting. But Michelle, why don't you go first and tell people who you are and what you do?
Perfect. So Allison Forgale is my guru of the week. She wrote The Likeable Badass, incredible. And Christy Cool, I actually know her very well. She's in My Vibe. She is an incredible activation executive coach. Like, I'm so excited to see both of these women. They're like two of my favorite friends. So that is amazing. So for me, you can work with me in two ways. One, on the B2B supply chain side, Simple Smart Consulting is my day job, and I'm really good at it. And my joy job is My Vibe Community. I did just launch a free community membership option so people can come. I call them mall walkers. Come check it out. Check out all my events. You don't have action and all the VIP where it's interaction and connection and amplification in my socials, which is about a 2 million reach. But it's a way of saying, hey, let's come together and amplify. So that is myvibecommunity.com.
Amazing. So my guru that I'm going to shout out is Lauren Gibson. Lauren is a dear friend and also a queen when it comes to LinkedIn and AI. I love how she makes it human and she really focuses on ways to use it as a tool to enable rather than control and be all scary Terminator. But she's also exceptional at writing and she is fantastic with newsletters. So if you want to up your newsletter game, up your personal brand on LinkedIn and find ways to do that in a systemized way and use AI to help you with that, Lauren is amazing. I met her from a networking group on LinkedIn too. Also in Jacksonville, Florida. So we're kind of popping off here in the city. I don't know. We're kind of coming out of the woodwork. For me personally, I am a B2B executive producer and content strategist for podcasting specifically. My role is I can either help you start your own podcast where I teach you how to do it as your coach and help you launch your show, build the strategy and the foundation for what you want to do with your show. And you can take it and have it produced somewhere else if you'd like. Or if you would like the full thing produced from beginning to end and you would like to incorporate events into your podcasting strategy, that is our full done for you service that we love because I get to travel and talk to amazing people. If you are looking for that, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Rita Risha, or my email is rita@reignitemedia.com. The business is Reignite Media. We work with you to help make your podcast content dreams come true. Da-da! That's it.
Love it.
I loved this episode. Thank you both so much for coming on. I hope everyone in the audience who continues to hear this for months and months and months and years to come on podcast will reach out to both of you and work with you because you have a lot to offer this world. And who knows, we should all collaborate. We have the podcast thing. So, and love to have you in the Women Wave community. I know, Michelle, you're already there. We love having you there. And so would love to have you over there as well, Rita. But anyway, until next week, everyone, thank you both for coming on. And we do have some hot guests next week. I'm not sure. We messed up the Guru of the Week overlay. I'm sorry about that, Rita. But we might have the overlay for next week, which is Sayama Bunton and Jacob Gooden. This is going to be another one. Sayama is on Wall Street. She is one of those financial women. So she is going to be teaching us all about money. So come to that one. And Jacob is another podcaster. So more podcast talk. But thanks again, both of you, for coming. And we'll see you all back next week for another great episode. Bye-bye.